Greetings, blessings. This is Kelvin, and I know that I'm kind of bummish right now. I'm just chilling this late night, but I had a word that was on my heart, so I just wanted to take a moment to share it with you. And I was gonna sit here and type it up, but it's just easier just to talk. I was thinking today, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is arguably one of the best, or if not the best, greatest of all time when it comes to basketball players. He definitely is iconic. Uh, the Jordan shoes are so iconic, in fact, that people fight over them every year. And he didn't get there just by doing nothing. He worked hard and he gave it his all and he shined above the rest and he was a superstar and he did great and wonderful things in the sport of basketball. Mike Tyson is a superior boxer. I mean, amazing boxer. He was the one who was known for knocking people out in like 30 seconds. I mean, he had just power unimaginable and was vicious and intimidated people in the ring like no other. Amazing fighter. One thing that is interesting about these people, however, is that at some point they realized that they needed to hang it up, though. Michael Jordan, he rose to the top. He retired accordingly. I mean, he was getting older, and it was time for him to retire. But one thing that he did afterwards is that then he decided to come back. And it's funny because sometimes you hear about musicians saying that they retire. Musicians never retire, but athletes do. And Michael Jordan retired, but he missed it. He missed it. He missed those glory days, so he decided to come back. And when he came back, his performance was not as good as it used to be. Um, wasn't quite as good, and he actually retired again, stopped playing, and came back again, and it was even worse. And though he was known as probably the greatest of all time, when he tried to come back, it had the potential of ruining his legacy. Because when he left on top. He left at the top of his game. And typically, whatever you do in your life, you want to leave at the top of your game. If you're even if it's a career, it doesn't matter. You leave at the top of your game. You don't want to have to be pushed out. You want to leave on your own terms, at the top of your game on your own terms. And when you do that, then that gives you the ability to at least leave behind a legacy to your name. Michael Jordan could have came close to ruining that, but as time has passed, he has managed to hold on to his reputation. Mike Tyson, was going through a lot, and the way his career ended was not worthy. I mean, now he excuse me, he's bounced back a little bit, but the way that his career was ending was not worthy of the powerhouse that he was. Excuse me. And that's what I want to get at. It's always best to leave on top. You know, we all go through things in life, situations, jobs, careers, and so forth. And we have our heights, we have our fun, we have our great and wonderful memories. But we also have to be aware and understand when it's time to move on. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it talks about that there's a time for everything, and that there's a season for everything. And one of the places that we run the risk of finding detriment in our life is when we don't recognize when the season is over. Or when we realize that it was an old season and then we seek to reopen it because we missed it. And I get it. I understand. I spent some time in the military. It was a short stint, and it was one of the best times of my life. But when it was time to get out, I fought to get out of the military because there were some things that were going on. I won't go all into the detail, but there were some things that were going on, and it was time for me to go. And over the years, I mean, there definitely have been times that I've looked back on those days, reflected back on those days, how much fun it was, how much I enjoyed it. And I've actually considered, maybe I should try to sign up again and go back to the military. But it wouldn't be the same. And sometimes, it's best not to tarnish that past by trying to bring it into your present. Because some doors that close for most doors, honestly, that close for a reason. When God closes a door, he opens a new one. He doesn't expect you to look back. Just like when the woman was walking away from Sodom and Gomorrah, and she looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. And the reason why is because when God sends you forward, he wants you to keep going forward. He doesn't expect for you to look back. And I know sometimes in life we get to situations and we start reflecting back on situations from the past, previous jobs, back in our school days. You ever seen the people from the a lot of times who used to dance, all the time, and they were great dancers, but then they get older, time has moved on, and they just can't do it like they used to. And at some point, you have to hang it up. I mean, be free by all means, have fun, enjoy yourself, but you do have to take some time to realize that you just don't have it like you used to, and it's okay, because by closing the door, by closing that chapter of your book, you preserve it. And truth be told, you should not be afraid that closing those chapters of your past is going to somehow eliminate them. It's going to protect them. When you close those chapters, it protects them. It preserves them. Versus trying to reopen them, and then you cause more chaos, more trouble, because it's more difficult, because their season is over. To try to keep it going when it's not meant to be. And that's really what the quarter's message is to know and learn and discern when a season is over. Because once your season is over, it's time to let it go. It's time to leave it behind, close the door, close the chapter, and let it be preserved for what it was. Closing a chapter, ending a season, does not take away the value that you gained from that season. Closing a door does not take away the wonderful things and the wonderful memories that you had of it. But it just signals to God and to your life and your progression that you are on a steady movement forward. Because in life you have to keep moving. You have to keep growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. So stop bringing dead things back into your life. Stop bringing dead friendships, dead relationships. Some of you will sit there and try to hold on to old friendships that were only meant for a season. It was meant for grade school, and you don't connect like that anymore. And even if you do connect, it's just not fitting for your life right now. There are so many of these millennial movies that come out where the rest of where you had this fun, great crew, and you all used to hang out all the time, but then people started growing up, and you got that one member who just refuses to grow up. And it's sad in the movies, and it's sad in real life. At some point, you have to move on. You knew people, you knew jobs, you knew experiences, and they were closed. Some of them were closed by you. And they had their season. It was a great time while it lasted. It was a great relationship. It was a great friendship. It was a great job. It was a great experience. And it's over, and that's okay. Nobody can take that experience, that memory, that past from you. But you do have to realize, in order to grow, that it is the past. Especially when it brings conflict in your current life, in the current life that God has blessed you with, in the current situation that God has given you, has blessed you with. Don't ruin a blessing from God trying to look back like the woman looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't lose a blessing from God or harm a blessing trying to chase after those memories. Think about when the children of Israel came out of Egypt and then they got out into the wilderness, and there were some of them who actually began to grumble and say, oh man, we had it better back then, when they were back in slavery. And they completely missed the point that God got you out of that slavery. God delivered you from that. But they were ready to go back to it. God delivered them from it, and they were getting ready to go back to it. And some of you are facing that in your own life. You had that old job and you got out of it and found something better, but at times of fear or at sometimes nostalgia, you sit back and think about trying to apply and go back to that old job. Some of you had ex relationships, boyfriends and girlfriends, and it was a time, but it was the past, and it's called an ex for a reason because it belongs in the past, and you need to close that chapter. You need to let that chapter be completely closed because it has no place in your new life. Some of you had old friends, and they had their place, but they don't have any place in your life now. And by continuing to hold on to those situations and those people and those circumstances from the past, continue trying to reopen those doors that God has already closed, can only bring detriment to your life. It was a season, and it was meant for a season. But at some point, we have to realize that seasons go. We had a great dinner. We had a great lunch. And we had leftovers, but at some point those leftovers spoil. They get molded, they get mildewed. And if you keep those things in your life that are beyond their season, then it's going to cause mildew and mold in your life. If you hold on to those things that are meant to be closed and meant to be preserved, meant to be pushed away and closed off so that they can be preserved memories, if you keep trying to hold on to it and reopen those doors, it's only going to bring mildew and mold, misery and issues into your life. So know when, use your discernment, and know when to let that which is dead bury the dead. Let the dead bury the dead. And you need to know when to allow that which is dead to remain dead and not keep trying to resurrect it. Don't let it be a ghost in your life. Let it die. And you need to move forward in your life and open yourself up to the possibilities and the opportunities and the blessings that God has given you. Because if God has blessed you away from it, and God has blessed you with new, don't put new wine in old wineskins. Keep moving forward and let it be what it was. It was a great time. It was a great season. It was a great friend. It was a great ex. It was a great experience. It was a great circumstance. But that chapter is closed. The season is over. There's a time and a season for everything. But once that season is over, let it be over. And move forward in your life so that you can then experience the blessings of God. Because God can't bless you with new. God can't bless where you're at if you're still holding on to what was behind you. God says, don't look back. Just like he told the lady in Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, don't look back. He cannot bless you forward if you're holding on to what's back. So again, this has been Kelvin. UGFE Ministries. Find us at www.ugfe.org. Find us on Facebook at UGFE Ministries. Pray this message has been a blessing to you, and keep it moving forward. Don't look back. Enjoy the blessings which are ahead for you. Walk in them. Live them. Peace to you. Amen.